Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole, released back in September 2010 and was directed by Zack Snyder. Basically, the story of this movie, we have a young owl named Soren and his older brother, Clud. However, they both get kidnapped and they're put into slavery by the Pure Ones led by Metalbeak. Clud then turns into a Pure One and starts turning evil and starts helping Metalbeak, while Soren meets up with Gylfie, and together Soren and Gylfie escape the Pure One's places called St. Eggies, and they find Digger and Twilight, and together they team up and they find the Guardians of Ga'Hoole. Together, Soren, Twilight, Digger, Gylfie must team up with the Guardians to stop Metalbeak and the Pure Ones and save Soren's brother Clud. Now, I really had a blast with this movie. Now, I'll be honest, this is actually one of my first few times watching the movie. When I first saw it, I thought it was alright. I thought it was boring. However, I absolutely loved this movie on this viewing. This movie is so good. Now, my only gripe with the story, well, it's cliche. However, the way it's told and the concept is so original. We've never seen badass owls kick ass. And it's just so fucking good. Now, and the other plot with the story is that you kind of know what's gonna happen, and yeah. But here's one thing I have to compliment the film, is that this film is much more darker than films like Kung Fu Panda 2 and How to Train Your Dragon 2. This movie I really absolutely freaking love, and it's just so good on what it does. And it even feels long as well. Like, it's structured very well. Like, they don't get to Ga'Hoole until, like, the second act. Usually in a most animated movie, when it's an adventure movie, when they try to get to a place, well, the thing is that, well, you usually get there in, like, the first 10 minutes, and it gets so boring. This film is long and is packed with everything you'd expect. It's just perfect on how this film is structured, and the script is fantastic. The animation, okay, this animation I think is the best looking movie of all time. This is easily the best visuals of all time I've seen from animation. Even better than the Kung Fu Panda movies visuals. I'll have to think about it against Kung Fu Panda 2 and 3's visuals, but I'll say Legend of the Guardians for now for visuals terms. On to the characters. There's Soren, the main character. I felt like Soren, well, he's really well developed, he's well fleshed out, he's really good, he really acts like a leader, he leads the team very well. Then there's Gylfie, who is adorable as hell, but I also liked her character and how she kind of helped Soren, and kind of felt like a love interest as well. Digger and Twilight, I feel like, are kind of the same characters, except, well, sizes comparisons. But I did like the characters for who they are. They were really good as characters. Ezra Rip, who I thought, aka Lies of Keel, the leader of the Guardians, was really good. He's kind of reminds me of Shifu with his beard, and yeah, you would think he looks like Master Shifu, but I did like his character for what he is. On to the villains. Metalbeak, Naira, and Clud. Metalbeak, I think, is, well, a good villain. He serves well. He's actually threatening as hell. He's definitely one of the greatest villains I've ever seen. And Naira, okay, funny enough, Naira and Clud are basically Shen. Naira has the exact same colors as Shen, and Clud has a similar design to Shen. I really liked seeing that. Naira, I felt like was really well developed. She's really nicely designed as a villain, and I think, well, you could have made her a good guy a little bit better. Clud, however, I think is rather a great character. He's really good as a villain. He gets creepy as a villain. Trust me, freaky. Because, guys, this is why I actually love this movie for one reason. It's just so dark and violent. Now, on to one of the things about this film is, well, it's Clud. As we know at the ending of the film, Clud obviously gets the red eyes and becomes a Pure One. And, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie. But, nah, it's just, it sets up for a sequel, and I've heard that one of the reasons why this movie didn't do well is because it had a long title and some people weren't interested. Yeah, that's bullcrap, honestly. Just because no one's interested in the movie doesn't mean your movie isn't gonna do well. That's just bullcrap, honestly. Honestly, I love this movie for what it was. It did really well for me. And would I like to see a sequel? Hell yeah, it deserves a sequel. We definitely need to get that Clud cliffhanger resolved. 8 years' time. Oh boy. Actually, I'm really surprised to see this movie is actually 8 years old. And it's like, Jesus, God, I feel old. And this movie came out in the same year as How to Train Your Dragon. Guys, I'm actually gonna give Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Gahul a 10 out of 10, and just a seal of awesomeness. Now, you're probably wondering, since this review is so positive, how do I rank it in terms of the Kung Fu Panda movies? I'll have to think about that, but I definitely do prefer this movie over Rise of the Guardians, but seriously though, fantastic movie. I shall see you guys next time, and skadoosh. Also, if you're like me and you really want to see a sequel, then please sign the petition that I'm making for a Legend of the Guardians 2 if you really want to see what happens next. Thank you.